Happy birthday to the GOAT of the Dallas Mavericks. That is Dirk Nowitzki. 41, turns 46 today. Get the HBDs, the 41s, however you want to wish him a happy birthday, down in the comment section below, as the GOAT has turned 46 today. All right.
Love Dirk. Happy birthday to Dirk, but we'll get into today's show.
Want to get into some Mavericks news and notes here on a Wednesday. Harrison Graham and Jeffrey Cooperstein. Obviously, Luka Doncic has a big decision to make coming up as the Olympic qualifiers get going here in a couple of weeks from July 2nd to 7th, and then the Olympics later that month. Will Doncic play in the qualifiers in the first week of July? We do not have an official word from him at this point in time. Obviously, Coop, he's a very proud Slovenian. He is very committed to international basketball, playing for his country. They almost medaled in the last Olympics. But man, this guy's played a lot of basketball. He's clearly injured. I don't think he's going to be healthy in 2 weeks. If it were me and I was Luka, I would say, hey, I will be there for the Olympics if you guys qualify, but I'm not healthy. You're going to have to qualify without me.
Yeah, someone on Twitter put it to me, and I really thought it was well put. I can't remember who it was, so sorry. But they said there's a difference between patriotism and irresponsibility.
Yeah.
I think it would be irresponsible if Luka were to play in these games in a couple of weeks. And I know he wants Slovenia to make the Olympics, and he wants to play on the world's biggest stage and represent his country. But he's got to heal, man. I mean, we showed you. He played 100 games this season, been dealing with multiple injuries throughout the postseason as well. He's got to rest for at least a month. If these games were at the end of July, basically, but that's when the Olympics are, I'd say, okay, go play in it. If Slovenia was already qualified, I'd have zero problem with him playing in the Olympics. But these games in a couple of weeks, I do not think he should play.
And that's kind of why I think it's a fair compromise. I think you say, hey, if we're in the Olympics, I'll be there, but I'm just not physically prepared or ready to play basketball in 2 weeks. Because here's the thing, too, Coop, like, if he's going to play full throttle because he's by far their best player. So he's going to be playing 35, 40 minutes a game. He does that. They get to the Olympics and they play for a while. He's basically not going to have an offseason. So when's he going to heal? And I get it. Like, look, this is a bad year for the Olympics to fall. Let's just be honest. I mean, he's played 100 games. They've made the finals. He's beat the shit. Like, but he doesn't want to skip an Olympics. I get it, but it's just like, that I have concerns going into next season if he doesn't take this time off. I mean, is he going to rest in the month of September? I guess, but that's kind of when you have to get your conditioning going for an 82-game season. So
yeah, that's when training camp starts and all that. At some point he has to take a rest, and I think that rest comes now. I don't think he should play in these or even more than 2 games, I think. And Slovenia would have to win this little pool in order for them to qualify, so it's unlikely as it stands. I don't think he should play, but if he ends up deciding to play, the Mavs can't really tell him no.
No.
So.
Hey, this is a Luka decision, and look, he's earned the right to make that decision. Yep. It just is like, I don't know, man. Like, you're only 25. You're going to have at least probably 3 more Olympics, I would think. He'll be 29, 33, 37. I think he'll be playing in the Olympics at 37. So it sucks, but I think he needs to take the time off. And if they qualify without him, awesome. Go play in late July. Exactly. You'll have a month off by then. But I hope he does not play. So I'm typing my in for no. Early free agency. So we mentioned this on our last watch party that as soon as midnight struck on the day the Mavericks lost Game 5 to the Celtics, teams were allowed to start negotiating with their own free agents. I think Pascal Siakam, I don't think it's finalized, but he's expected to re-sign a max deal with Indiana. That deal will probably get done before actual free agency starts. The Mavs have Derrick Jones Jr. and Markieff Morris. Weirdly enough, I think Morris would be more likely to re-sign in this window because it's a vet minimum deal, whereas they can only give Jones, as of right now, the full taxpayers mid-level, which I think is $5.2 million. So unless they, agree to a trade with Tim Hardaway Jr. or something like that, or stretch waive him before the start of free agency, I don't think they're going to really get a deal done with Derrick Jones. They might approach him and see if he'll do the taxpayers, but why would he do that? He has a better market out there.
Yeah, negotiations won't take place with him yet because of the reasons you outlined. They have to clear room for him in order to give him really what he wants and what he's probably going to command on the open market. So I'd be very surprised if the Mavericks agreed to a deal with Derrick Jones before the actual free agency period begins. I expect that to go into the free agency period and let the situation play out and see how it goes. Obviously, I think Derrick Jones said he wants to be a Mav. I think the Mavs would like Derrick Jones back as well. So we'll keep an eye on that one, but I don't expect much movement here. Like you said, there could be movement on Markieff Morris. He wasn't a big factor on the court in this season, but he was a huge factor off the court. He was one of the team's most vocal leaders and a guy that really stepped up in the locker room when they needed it this season. I could see the Mavs bringing him back on a veteran deal as the 15th man. Only played in 26 games this season, didn't do much on the court. We saw him in the finals, and he looked completely cooked, like he couldn't move at all. So there are pros and cons to bringing him back, but I wouldn't mind him if he returns.
Yeah, I mean, look, like, I think you ask yourself this question. What 15th man on a vet minimum deal in the NBA do you really expect to give you on-court production? If you think there are guys out there that can do that, then that's the way to go. But if you don't, then I think bringing a guy like Morris back has value because he clearly commands that locker room. When things get tough, he's a guy people lean on. And he's just kind of a vibes guy, right? Like he's a Theo Pinson with 13 years in the league. Like he's you know, that's his role. So look, again, it comes down to if you're Nico Harrison, do you think someone in that 15th slot can give you some on-court production on load management nights? If you do, then you probably should go that route. But if you don't, and Morris wants to keep playing, then bring him back. The guys clearly like him. He's a good fit. So this is kind of a no skin off my back type of deal. If he's back, cool. If not, I don't think it makes a huge difference.
Agreed.
I think for this year it had huge value, but I think the culture's pretty established now. But again, if he wants to come back and if they're cool with him as the 15th man that is basically never going to play, then cool. Like that, I think there's clearly value in that like there was this year. So we'll monitor that situation. I think at this point where he's kind of year to year in the league, I would doubt that would be a pre-free agency type of move,
Agreed.
but you never know. Subscribe to the channel. We will continue to cover everything that happens throughout the offseason as the summer is officially here. Draft gets going next week. We got a draft targets video coming up. Probably this weekend we'll drop that for you guys, so stay tuned for that. Free agency, trades, rumors, news, we covered all. Hit that sub button. Let's get to 29,000 subs. All right, speaking of free agency,
yes,
Coop.
I just wanted to take a look at we're going to do a full free agency targets video here coming on the channel within the next week or so. I just wanted to take a look at a few guys who are going to be free agents that I think the Mavs could pursue on veteran minimum deals, kind of like the Markieff Morris signing last year. Now, some of these may be slightly more than the minimum, but here are 4 names that I think the Mavs could look at in the offseason, starting with 2 of our old friends in Jay Crowder and Doug McDermott. Crowder kind of brings the veteran presence that Morris does. Also can shoot and defend a little bit. I still think he has some left in the tank. So he'd be a guy I'd be interested in.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think Crowder's kind of impact in the NBA has slowly diminished in the last several years, but I don't know. Kind of ask yourself this. Would you rather put him in a game or Tim Hardaway in a game? I'd probably rather put Jay Crowder in a game.
Which is crazy to say.
He's going to play at least a little more defense now. His shooting is not what it was. He's kind of average in that regard, but he does that. Doug McDermott definitely can shoot. Now, he couldn't really crack he was with Indiana this year, right?
Yes,
he wasn't even really cracking Rick Carlisle's rotation, and you know they love offense. So, again, I don't think he would be a playoff rotation guy, but I think those are 2 guys, at least in the regular season, that could help you out, get through an 82-game season. Jordan Nwora, Dario Saric. I think Saric, you know, if Kleba's not on this team, maybe he has a role, but
exactly.
If not, he's probably not in the rotation.
He would be a potential Maxi Kleber replacement. And as with Jordan Nwora, Nwora is a 6'8 defender who can really guard 2 through 4 at a pretty high level, and I kind of think that's why I put him on this list. He's not going to give you much offensively, but he is a guy that can really lock it down defensively. So I like this list. If they got one of these guys, I wouldn't be mad about it. I think there's value to be had with any of these 4 players. But the reason why I made this list is kind of to say, this is where the Mavs are going to be shopping. It's going to be in the bargain bin. They're going to be looking for those veteran minimum deals simply because they don't have much room otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, I think the one area, I think the full mid-level could be a possibility if you don't bring back Derek Jones, but you still shed Tim Hardaway Jr. Like, I think we'll probably do a segment on, mid-level type of targets, including Jones, but like other guys that could be in that range, we'll definitely explore, because I think there are scenarios where some team crazy overpays for Jones, or maybe the Mavs don't want to go full mid-level for him, and they'd rather go in a different direction there. So we'll definitely keep an eye on some of those mid-tier guys, but you're not shopping for big names unless it's LeBron. Like, I don't think Paul George is a realistic option here.
And I think in free agency as a whole, I expect the Mavs to be relatively quiet. I think where their noise is going to be made is in the trade market, because you have the likes of Tim Hardaway, Maxi Kleber, Josh Green, Jaden Hardy.
Yep.
I think that's where the majority of the noise out of the Mavericks is going to come this offseason, is via trade. And we've kind of seen over the last few years, Nico Harrison has the propensity to pull off trades. In his 3-year tenure as Mavericks GM, he has made 11 trades so far.
And I think this too, Coop, and this has kind of just jumped on me right in the spur of this conversation. I think a big thought, especially Josh Green here with his contract, and a couple of things. One, Dante Exum and Josh Green's skill sets kind of overlap a lot.
Yep.
If they're comfortable with Exum and they think Omax is a real piece next year, well, you can dump Josh Green if you want to. You could trade him and try to get a better shooter or something like that, because Exum can play his defensive role while still giving you some ball handling and shooting. And then Omax is just a bigger defensive wing who hopefully can at least be a respectable shooter. So I think that's an interesting one when it comes to potentially trading this offseason. Like, if they're confident in Exum and if they think Omax is ready to be a rotation guy, I kind of look at Josh Green as like, okay, he's got value in the league. He's got a tradable contract. You could get something back in some package involving him, I think. I mean, is he a draft night trade potentially for like an early second-round pick, like in the 30s? No, I don't know.
I don't know if the Mavs believe Omax is going to be a true rotational player next year. I imagine that's more of a year 3 type thing. But if they do believe he is ready, I have no problems moving on from Josh Green. I absolutely agree.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. I just think, like, the way they operate this offseason, I think, will tell a lot about how they feel about a couple players. I think Hardy and Omax are like the two guys. Like,
agreed.
Are they a part of this or not? Like, I think they think Omax is long-term. Is Jaden Hardy? We'll have to wait and see. Name one player you want the Mavericks to sign or trade for this offseason. Drop his name in the comments below. Obviously, there's going to be a LeBron buzz until there isn't, so feel free to drop his name as well. Still no official JJ Redick word out west, so keep an eye on that, as that certainly impacts LeBron's future. He's Jeffrey Cooperstein. I'm Harrison Graham. We will continue to drop videos on a daily basis. Look out for our perfect offseason video. See you guys next time.
See you.
Peace.